Hi and welcome to your first of many InDesign tutorials. InDesign is a powerhouse tool that is the industry standard for setting up all sorts of documents that you would deliver for presentations and to printers, which is what we're going to focus on because this is a class about printing. I am working under the assumption that you guys all have Macs, and so I'm good. As I give you keyboard shortcuts, just note that if I say Command and a letter, then you could use Control instead of Command on a PC. Okay, shortcuts on the keyboard will help make you more efficient, and while there's a long way to do everything that I'm telling you in keyboard shortcuts are king, and so that's the primary way that I will be instructing you to go through InDesign. We're going to begin by opening InDesign, and my screen will look a little different than yours because I have recently been working in InDesign. It's one of my favorite programs, and I use it for just about everything that I create in some way or another. So you won't have the thumbnails down here, and that's okay. What we're going to do is create a new document. And the options to do that are to hit this quick link to create new, go to File, New, Document, or hit Command N on your keyboard. It pulls up this document window, and this is worth taking a few minutes to look at because this is the place that you will be able to set up some of the functionality barriers and margins that you'll need for your specific documents. Now, when you're working towards creating an invitation or a book or a poster or anything in between, you will have specifications that you need to match. So for an invitation, you might be working on a 5x7. So what I did is say inches right here under the units, and then I chose 5x7 as my width and height. Or maybe I want it to be a horizontal in landscape mode, like a postcard, so I can choose the orientation here. If you're creating a book with multiple pages, you would want to have facing pages, and what that will do is literally connect the pages so that you can work in spreads. But because we're talking about invitations, at least in this first scenario for your first project, you're not going to need to have facing pages. We're going to work in a one column situation for your work, and I find that most of the work that I do has just one column, and I might have columns within a project, but it's rarely throughout the entire project. When you're setting up your document here, this is saying one column for the entire project. Or if you needed more, this would make two columns for the entire project. The gutter is the space in between each column, and that impacts your grid. Margins are really important. Every printer that you will use has a safety zone or margins that they want you to allow for, and it's basically the area where it is safe to have type. And if you're doing things like billboards, they'll have a section that says here is your type safe area, so your words or your letter forms won't get cut off. Here is an image safe area because it's okay if some of it gets lopped off, and then here is the cut line, and so anything outside of that is not going to show up. And so those are all good things to know, and you can control that here with your margins. Bleed and slug. Now, I rarely use slug. It's just not something that I've been required to. It's not something that in any of the things that I've produced it's been necessary. But if you're creating books, that will come into play. Bleed, on the other hand, is something that you use frequently. It is a requirement by printers when you have images or a color field that extends edge to edge. So in the print world, there is a allotted margin of error for cut, And so they want you to provide more color or more image than what you actually need. So when they are cutting the paper, if it shifts up to a 1/16 of an inch, you still have a color field and not an odd white line. Okay, we're going to leave everything else as is for right now and press create, and going to think for a second. Ta-da! We have your very first document. I'm going to hit Command and the minus key or the dash on my keyboard to zoom out a little bit. There's also a zoom key here so that you can choose how far away you are, but I just like to be able to see the entire page when I am working. All right, that's it for this tutorial. I will see you in the next one.